Good evening, dear compatriots. Today is February 12th. This is our second program in this series. We will talk about important events, important statements, interesting statements made by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia in the National Assembly. We will touch on them, as well as other important issues. We will try to analyze these issues together. There are also important international events, which are also we will definitely discuss and try to understand what is happening with you during this program. Before the program starts, I want to inform you that as for the support, the program, which I propose to post our programs in many languages on our YouTube channel using artificial intelligence, unfortunately has not yet found much support, but at the same time I hope that this idea will be acceptable to you. Dear compatriots, I purchased this opportunity for 1 month from my own funds. You will also test how it will work. We will try to post new subtitles in French and English. New YouTube sections are open for these languages, and if we post materials in English, they'll have a flag and English title, indicating English content. If it's in French, it'll have a flag and French title, indicating French content. Please like it, even if you don't watch. If possible, comment. This way, our broadcasts will gain traction until they are as popular as Armenian content. I hope this program attracts interest to continue this project. Now let's talk about our YouTube channel. In order for our broadcasts in those languages to gain traction as well, until we can make those broadcasts as sought after on our channel as the Armenian language content is, I hope this will happen very soon. Let's see. And besides that, I hope that with this program, we will have interested parties so that we can continue the implementation of this project. Now, let's talk about our YouTube channel. He made an interesting announcement from an important news. Regarding the meeting between Armenian Prime Minister Vance-Pashinyan and Jade Wells in the National Assembly, which took place at the White House in the United States of America, we know that such a meeting took place, and as they say, Pashinyan did not plan for that meeting. That decision was made after the national prayer breakfast, since such a desire arose from both sides. The meeting was not a tete-a-tete, but a delegation, and the document that was signed between Armenia and the United States of America. The new administration was also informed. That is why there was mutual interest, and a fairly long discussion took place between the delegation in James's office at the White House. I think there are very important statements and quite important details from that statement, because now we clearly understand that this document is also of great importance for the Trump administration. Why? We were also talking about it, and in fact we were right here too. We were correctly analyzing that this document was also combined with the Trump administration and also has their support, and that meeting also testifies to that, which was organized very quickly. Just like you saw the pictures from Paris, how Vance and Pashinyan meet. Vance is smiling happily. That is, even from those visual scenes, from the pictures, we can assume that an interesting, good relationship has begun to form. I hope that in the future, there will also be opportunities to meet on different occasions, including celebrations with Trump, as it happened in Paris, before the inauguration ceremony. But for now, I believe that better opportunities will arise for that. Let's move on to the remaining questions. Oh, it's very bad that there are mutual accusations again in Armenia's domestic politics, and I am simply surprised that Artsakh, the one who signed the Artsakh liquidation document, blames Alan Simonyan for the blood of the victims, when Alan Simonyan, who blamed the people of Nagorno-Karabakh, etc., etc. And here Alan Simonyan made a very important clarification that he is not from Artsakh. He blames the refugee people, but specifically those who they fled Artsakh and settled in their expensive houses on the Northern Avenue. Where did they get those expensive houses from? That also raises a big question, and now that they can also talk, that's really it. I think it causes anger in many people, because how can a person sign the Artsakh liquidation bill, a document that leads to the end of existence, and yet moves around Armenia without any issues? And what day? To come forward with accusations against the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia. If you noticed, I am very careful in my statements. I do not want to offend anyone, nor do I want to delve into internal issues. We mainly analyze Armenia's foreign policy and what is happening around Armenia. We are far from gossip, but there are moments that truly affect us as Armenians and are simply unacceptable, such as the issue of Robert Kocharian's son, and Nikol Pashinyan's response to that as well. It's very concerning. An unpleasant general feeling indeed arises. Of all this, the most important issue is the issue of Shirak Torosyan. When dealing with people with citizenship, especially Javak K Armenians, new problems are being created against them. In fact, in Armenia, those who have a Georgian driver's license, when they have citizenship, were fined 10,000 drams. We have also been called many times about this. As Torosyan mentioned, Iran is also concerned. Indeed, this practice must be changed. Many Java K Armenians have citizenship when there are many who are going abroad for work and so on. They really need to clarify who the residents of Armenia are. If a person lives in Armenia, then they should have an Armenian driver's license. But if a person lives in Georgia and has dual citizenship, which is quite common, then why should these people be fined for entering Armenia with their own vehicles? This issue indeed requires serious attention, and as promised by the Ministry of Internal Affairs, we hope that this matter will be resolved very soon through legislation and will be regulated in the future. It is also important to note that today, after discussions yesterday and today, the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia voted in favor of the draft law to clean up Armenia's membership in the European Union with 65 votes, which is of course very important. A statement has also been made regarding this. The press secretary of the President of the Russian Federation, Peskov, noted that this is the sovereign right of Armenia. He recalled again that he said that there are political forces in Armenia that want Armenia to join the European Union, and to what extent this is real, to what extent this desire is mutual on the part of the European Union. He expressed doubts about this issue, and he said that Armenians should decide and understand whether in reality what do they want. Peskov made a statement like that. But I want to emphasize clearly that, as I have said many times, Peskov, unlike Zakharova, Lavrov, and other political figures, makes relatively adequate statements. Naturally today, a very interesting statement was also made by Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev, confirming what we have been discussing. It's been a day we've been talking. The House has stated that it wants to improve relations with the United States. Those relations had deteriorated significantly during Joseph Biden's administration. During those 4 years, there was a different attitude towards Azerbaijan, and he expressed hope that relations with the United States would improve as the previous disagreements no longer exist. Such a statement was made. Azerbaijan's president, Ilham Aliyev, and the actual deterioration of that relationship or its shaping with Russia. Well, I don't think we need to keep reminding ourselves of what Baku was doing to worsen those relations. And all I can say clearly now is that it was specifically done for them to be able to celebrate Trump and try to establish good relations with him. In other words, all our analyses in this regard were very accurate. Let's move on to important international news. An interesting statement was made by the former Prime Minister of Turkey, leader of the Future Party, David Oglu, and he stated that the Palestinian people should hold a referendum. and that it is possible that this people wants to temporarily join Turkey until they have the opportunity to remain independent. According to him, all of that. The countries and territories that were part of the Ottoman Empire are former citizens of the Ottoman Empire, and Palestine is no exception. For this reason, the Palestinian people can hold a referendum and temporarily join Turkey. In fact, there is a significant trend of tension between Turkey and Israel, especially noticeable in the last 1.5 to 2 years. We need to pay close attention here and understand what these events will lead to, as the situation surrounding Palestine and Israel has a completely different perspective. Let's move on to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, where a statement has been made. Also, the President of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, and he noted that if Ukraine loses this war, and in order not to have a war against Europe, Russia will not be able to capture... Europe must keep Ukraine standing. Do you remember we also talked about this in our previous program, that there is various information in Europe that the Russian Federation may launch an attack on European countries within 4 to 5 years. And in fact, Zelensky says that today, on real ground, Ukraine has the largest army in Europe, which can counter Russian aggression, as they say. And if Ukraine is defeated in this war, it will either weaken or lose its own power. The essence is that, while that statement didn't explicitly say it, the implication is that Europe will face quite serious problems regarding Ukraine. Today, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also mentioned that he cannot specifically say when this war will end. It's difficult and wrong to predict when this war will end. He simply expressed hope that it will come to an end very soon between Russia and Ukraine. And the head of the Pentagon also explicitly stated that the return of the borders of Ukraine to the borders of 2014 is nearly impossible. As for Ukraine, I can indeed also add that at least one person was tragically killed in a missile strike on Kiev by Russia. In addition to them, unfortunately, Peskov commented on Zelensky's statement that Ukraine is ready to exchange for Russia the occupied territories with the occupied Ukrainian territories, and Peskov clearly says that this will not happen, and all those who entered Russian territory, they will be destroyed and will flee from Russian territories, and in the end, I will inform you that many other things from the Middle East. By the way, a telephone conversation took place between the new leader of Syria and our Putin. There are no other details at the moment, but I think that on this issue we will also... During our next issue, we will have interesting and new details, if of course such details appear on the internet. For today, that's all, dear compatriots. I once again urge you to actively like and subscribe to our channel. I would also like to ask you to follow the English and French materials, and also suggest how adequately and well artificial intelligence translates. If you are unable to watch the entire video, be sure to like it, and if possible, comment so that these videos also start to spread, which of course you all already know very well how important this information is. That's all for this active era for Armenia. Wishing you success.